Good morning, everyone. My name is Larry Harvey. I'm the district secretary from the Rotary Club of Sparks. And today we're going to talk about the role of club secretary. This is a great new world, a new environment. Normally we do this at one of the district leadership meetings and have these things, but this is nice because instead of waiting till September when we usually have those meetings, we'll do it earlier for those stepping into the role of club secretary. We usually try to combine it, the treasurer and secretary as well, because many times, especially smaller clubs, they combine duties. However, what we found in trying to do those together, frankly, there's so much role in this treasurer side, especially from a fiduciary capacity, that I usually ended up with like 5 minutes to talk about treasurer and secretary, and that's just not enough time. So we broke them up, and so those people, you're going to be encouraged if you do some work on the other side, is also take that track as well with Dave Carey. We will touch on some of the items that get into that because will definitely deal with the fiduciary side, but we won't get into great detail. That'll be something you want to go to that for because he can answer those questions that I cannot when it comes to someone who has a CPA background. But again, welcome all this morning. Thought it might be good initially if we just did a little, ask. I'll name your name, and then if you could just make sure you're unmuted and just announce yourself, your name, and what you're doing for your club, and what you hope to get out of today's session. So I'll start off, and I'll use my screen. I see people. I'll start with Patty Ingram Spencer.
Oh, thank you, Larry. So I am the club secretary for 2021. And I just need some interaction on how to use Club Runner better. And this system is certainly not what I did for 43 years as an escrow officer. So it's all Greek to me.
Got it. Thank you. Susan Brown.
Thank you. I'm Susan Drown from Rotary Club of Grass Valley South. Past treasurer and past president, now secretary. So need to hone up on what all these guys have been doing all this time.
Great. You'll have some insight. That's good. Now let's see. I think Diane, you're Bill, right? Bill?
Yeah, Bill. That's a good name. I'm with Cameron Park Rotary. I've been past president, gone through most of the officer positions in our Cameron Park Club. I've been club secretary for about 5 years, and I'm beginning to realize that it's a job that's easy to get into and very difficult to get out of. So I may be a life member secretary.
Well, we have one of those in our club. Mike Kicks has been doing it as long as I've been a member, so I understand. Yeah,
it's a good job. I enjoy it.
Great. Barbara.
Hi, I'm Barbara Long. I'm the secretary of the Rotary Club of Jackson. This is my 4th year as secretary of that club, and who knows how much longer that will go.
Got it. Thank you. Susan Rice.
I'm sorry?
Susan Rice. Sorry.
Hi, Susan Rice, and I'm secretary of the Nevada City 49er Club. I've been secretary for 8 years, and my purpose joining this is to see if I've been missing anything.
Okay. Well, and just so you know, this is going to be interactive, I expect a lot of you to teach each other and me a few tricks. So, but thank you. I'm going to go to Priscilla Baker. And Priscilla, you're on mute right now.
I was just unmuting. Thank you. Priscilla Baker. I'm the club secretary for Fallon, and I was secretary last year, but I didn't attend the training. So I'm wanting to hear what I missed.
Excellent. Toby. Toby, you're on mute.
Yep, I unmuted. Hi. Yeah, so I am with the Truckee Rotary Club, and Amy Schaller has been our secretary the last 3 years, and we have a new incoming president, and he asked me to be the secretary, and she's going to kind of stay on as co-secretary and bring me. This is my first year in the club, so I kind of jumped right in, and so she's going to kind of hang on and help me integrate into the role.
That's awesome. Great. Brian.
Hey, good morning, everyone. I'm Brian Hatchell. I'm out with the Bishop Sunrise Rotary in Bishop, California. So that's the Eastern Sierra for folks not familiar. And this is my first year in the role, so I got a lot of learning to do, and it's only my second year in the club. So still familiarizing myself with all things Rotary.
Great. Thanks, Brian. And now Nora.
Hey, I'm back. Sorry, I keep popping in and out.
Right.
Nora Stevens. I'm not sure. I missed the part of what you asked us to say other than, I'm new to the role of secretary at Urington Rotary. And I've held several roles in the past with Rotary, but secretary is new.
Great. Thank you. Tom.
Excuse me, Tom Milam, Rotary Club of Nevada City. I'm the president of the club, so I am here to find out how I can better utilize the resource that my secretary is. And my secretary is none other than Robin Milam, who is the host on the call. So I'm also here to support Robin and Larry in this webinar.
Thank you, Tom. Oh, you're going to have to keep Robin on task. I don't envy that. Tracy Cockrell.
Hi, and I apologize again with my video. I have really poor internet, so which is running off my phone, which is why it's poor. So I'm Tracy Cockrell, and this is my second year as the secretary treasurer for the Rotary Club of Greenville. And I definitely just need to know what I didn't do last year that I was supposed to do, and then I will do better this year. So our club is very small, and there's like a few people that do everything. So I just want to make sure that I'm doing what needs to be done.
Great. Yeah, that's a big thing when you're secretary and treasurer.
Yeah. So thank you for letting us know that there's another training. I'll look for that one coming up for treasurer. So I'll be really helpful.
Yeah, Dave will answer questions that I certainly can't. So that'd be great.
Good to know.
Katie Keith.
Hello. Can you hear me?
You can.
Okay. I'm Katie Keith. This is my barely getting into my second year being in Rotary and my first time in a position. I typically work for a nonprofit doing fundraising, so it kind of is an easy fit for me, and it gives me time to connect with things like the club. And I'm looking forward to learning everything about it because I've never done it before.
Fantastic. Let's see, the one I have next is Tori.
Hi there. Can you hear me okay?
You can.
Great. I'm going to try putting my video on. I'm in the car right now. But my name is Tori De La Rocca. I am with the Reno South Rotary Club. This is my first year being secretary, and I've been a member of the club for 10 years. So just looking forward to learning more about the secretary position. Thank you.
Very good. And let's see what else I have. Bev Ram.
Good morning, Bev Ram. I am with the Georgetown Divide Rotary Club, and I've held several positions on the board. This is the first year for secretary for me. Stephanie Gower has been our secretary for about 3 or 4 years, and I've got big shoes to fill because she's a rock star. So she gave me some overview, but I just think the more training, the better.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see, and I know the last one, where did I write it down? It's our person on the phone.
That's me, Joni Eastley, Rotary Club of Tonopah. I am a past president, and I've been the secretary for about 15 years. And we're going to celebrate our 100th anniversary in about 3 years. And what I'm hoping to get out of this session, I just like to keep updated on what's happening and how I can do my job better.
Great. Thank you so much, Joni. Okay, I believe I got to everyone. Did I miss anyone?
No, but Larry, being first, this is Patty. I didn't really introduce myself. Of course, I am with the Rotary Club of Grass Valley. I'm past president from the year 2004. Been in Rotary in the Grass Valley Club since 1996. So there you go.
Excellent.
Thank you.
And Larry, this is Robin. I'm Robin Milam. I am secretary for Nevada City Rotary. I've been secretary for several years, and I kind of wear whatever hat doesn't fit somebody else. And keeping our president in line this year will be a big chore for me.
Yeah, I don't envy that either. Good for you, Robin. And Robin, of course, is amazing in the district and at club level, one of those people that does it all. Thank you for helping me out today, Robin.
Of course, I'm happy to do so.
Great. Well, again, so thank you all. I think, like I said, there's a lot of experience here. Some of you have new to the role. Some of you have been in it quite a while. And we will use all that great knowledge today to try to help each other as we kind of walk through the different processes and duties. So I'm going to walk through I'm going to share my screen shortly and kind of do a little PowerPoint, just walking through the basics, if you will. But from that, I expect you to please chime in, please, and if you want to use the chat room, or I'm happy if you speak up. But we'll walk through this and also kind of give you insight. Let me ask you one more question. Is there anyone who has not gone to the Learning Center to look at the club secretary, those little components?
I haven't gone there yet.
Okay, so I have several. I hear two that I've seen.
I have not either. This is Bev.
Okay. And so I'm going to walk through that and give you some insight how, only because I will tell you that the things that they've done on our I site, on our district site, and now on this Learning Center have added so much information that I know when I was club president, would have loved to have all this insight. And I think it actually breaks down, and some of this has been there a while. I just don't think we all had the same knowledge of how to obtain it. And so today I want to make sure you know how to find a lot of these things, because there's so much information now, and even on-site webinars, videos that tell you the how. How do I do that? How do I add a member? How do I edit information in Club Runner? So we are not going to learn everything. You can't do that one day, but I'm going to walk through it all and show you how to find it so that you know. That's one thing as volunteers in Rotary, we usually have day jobs. We have things we do. And so it's a part-time gig, but we want to give it our all. And so now we have so much more resources. You don't have to remember it all, just how to get to it, because very quickly you can learn a lot about what the responsibilities are. Not just for the club secretary, you'll find information about the treasurer, president, etc. So there's a lot of ways you can learn more based on how much you want to. But I will encourage you as you go through this to use those sites, because I think I can tell you I learned a lot, and I've been a Rotary a long time, like many of you, past president, and frankly, even a district secretary, I've learned a lot more by walking through these processes. So we'll do that today. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So hold on a moment. Let me get this back to the beginning. Great. Can all of you see this?
Yes.
Yes.
Hold on. Having a little technical difficulties. Great. Wonderful. Well, again, welcome to this session. We're going to walk through these different steps of what's required to be that and what are the basic duties. And as Robin and I were talking prior to the session starting, we all know that if you've seen one club, you've seen one club. How they share duties, who does what, can change based on that. Either combine duties. If you're a bigger club, you may actually have people that do sergeant arms. You may break them up, or you may do them all. So we're going to walk through basics, and I'm sure there are going to be questions, and that's where I think the sharing of how each one of you does it, we might learn how a better way to do it is, or how other clubs are operating in this. But that is the one interesting part of this is it will change based on your club and what you do. So the first one I mentioned, how to prepare, is to take those online courses for the club secretary in the Learning Center. There are 11 sessions, and we'll walk through that. Attend your district training assembly. So when those start again, unfortunately, you know, if many of you, you know, get informed, be part of that. And of course, third is when the opportunity exists is to work with your outgoing secretary. We all know in Rotary, we love to share. So they're going to be people who want to help you get through this. We also know in Rotary, sometimes we have people exit and do not leave good information or how to do it, and you're on your own. So hopefully this can help you there too. Other resources and references, you know, the RA website does have a lot of really good information. So in there, when you go to the home site of the RI website, there's a learning and reference tab. You go to learn by role, and there's club roles, and in there, they'll have the secretary, treasurer, et cetera, and give you some basic information. You know, in there, there's be a vibrant club, your club leadership plan, the Rotary Constitution. So there's a standard. Each of you should have one that's up to date. And this is usually the club secretary's job, is to review that and make sure it's updated. Very often you'll find that it hasn't been looked at in a long time. So this is another role that you can get your teeth into and work on. And then recommended Rotary bylaws. I'm sure you should have bylaws. And again, those should be reviewed annually, unupdated as needed, especially when you get something down from RI, because RI does make some changes each year that could affect your bylaws and your club constitution. So I'm going to touch on the Learning Center. In the Learning Center, how you can get to that for those who don't. Very often it's easier. I start in RI and the RI website, which gets to that learning part, and then go to club secretary, the role, and down in there it'll have a link to Learning Center, and that's one way to get to it. Because you've already signed into RI, it should take you right to that section. So when you get there, you put in club secretary into search, and you'll find these club secretary basics, and there are 11 courses in there. And here's some of the things and how they go. So club administration. And in each of these, they'll walk through what things you need to know. Very often they do a little bit of a test just to see that, you know, you've got it. But more importantly, there's tons of downloads in these that give you guidance. They have great, simple 1 or 2 page things that say, if you want to change membership, here's what you do. And it walks you through each step. Where to go online, which thing to click on. I mean, they have screenshots. So I will tell you that this I found to be pretty amazing. At a lot, when you want to find something, just go in here, pull it up, download that. I actually went in and downloaded all of the forms and put them into a secretary file, because now I can just go pull them up whenever I want and not have to worry even about going into this if I don't need to. So I just want to let you know that. So working with club leaders, so it gives you information of, you know, how do I interact? Because as secretary, you are one of the officers. You are on the board automatically and an officer of the club. And then, as somebody mentioned, using a club management system. So Club Runner is one. It's the most, it's the one that's recommended, because if you do that, you're reporting many of it, and you'll see that later, automatically run up to RI since they use it. So highly recommended, but it helps you learn those processes. Again, managing club finances, because you are working with the treasurer. If you're not the treasurer and secretary, you're working with the club secretary, the treasurer. And so it gives you an idea, and we're going to touch on some of those aspects today. Something new, and that's protecting personal data. We all know how important this is, but this is something you need to know in your role as club secretary, because you are actually touching the data. Luckily, again, if you're using the tools, it's well protected. But again, this helps you walk through it and be understanding of what to do. And then another important one, and that's online membership leads. You are going to get data as a secretary with the president on leads, and these help know, you will get these filmed out. Very often they come in to, I see them, and Ginny though actually manages them and often sends them out to the clubs based on where they are, because we just get some general club leads. But they tell you people who may have moved to your area that were former club members that you want to contact. So it's a great way to do that, and you are going to be instrumental in that process. Again, Rotary Club Central. So Rotary Club Central, how you get in there, because that's where most of the clubs are asked to put their goals for the year. So it has, how do I set goals? And even if you're not setting goals that way, how do I keep track? How do I put a goal in there, a project in there, or I just want to highlight a project so others can see what we do. And that's a great place to go in. And so it just helps you learn how to do it. Because initially, like anything, it feels a little daunting, but this walks you through very simply how to log in and how to do those changes. And then, of course, preventing and addressing harassment. So this is a bigger policy-wise as an officer of the organization, so that you can do this. And once you do that, you actually get, just so you know, you get a certification. So you will get an online certification saying you've done that. So what's great about the Learning Center is this is just one small piece, but it will record everything you've done, record that you've taken those courses. So when you go back in, you'll never have to wonder if you took that, because some of these courses cross over. You can imagine that if I'm a club president, I'm taking the harassment training as well, and the treasurer, etc. So this actually keeps track of all the things you've done and all the training you've done. And I will say that once you get in, you're going to get hooked in that you can learn other little pieces you wanted to know about with one simple place. So again, I just can't emphasize enough what I found valuable in that Learning Center. So let's get to some of the things you do. You're maintaining membership records is, of course, one of the biggest parts of the role. And you're updating your club membership data in the systems and sending it to RI. If you are part, again, of Club Runner, it'll automate that process. You just have dates you want them in by to make sure they're timely. So your invoices are paid based on number of members in the Rotary database. That's why it's important to keep that up to date. That's July 1 and January 1. The Rotary International sends the club an invoice, and then it's up to you working with your treasurer of how that's distributed. Usually the treasurer is the one who is sending invoices to the membership and making sure those are all collected. So again, depending on your club. You maintain the minutes of the club, the board, and committee meetings. So another important feature. And you're working with the incoming secretary to ensure the smooth transition if you're lucky enough to have one take over after you and you're not stuck for years, as we talked about. But that's another important piece that we want to have, the continuity. I'll mention here, and something that Rob and I were talking about, is that the importance of maintaining the data in a place where everyone can get it. So I can't tell you how many times that, because we go back to volunteers and we're switching off duties, someone before you didn't really keep the data somewhere, or they kept it on a home computer and then they left Rotary or moved, and boom, you've lost the data. So important to keep it in as one database with your club, on your club website. Club Runner will keep a lot of this data if you have that part of it, and you want to you keep it there and encourage the committees and others to do the same. A little story, when I was taken over club president, we had a great person I helped. I was the vice president as they were coming up, and basically the person before that was just so buttoned up. She had everything in the files. She had beautiful files, showed me what she was doing. She was handing it off to that president saying, you're going to get this when he's done. And at the end of that year, I was excited to go get this information, and I met him in a parking lot. He was giving me this and said, hey, here it is. By the way, I've never opened it. So that meant 1 year of no data, no changes, nothing happened, and I had to go do that. So what you want to do is make sure it's in a way that it's there always, so the next person can easily take over. So that's an important piece we wanted to mention. Reporting requirements. You again, the semi-annual invoice, which we mentioned. Club attendance. Again, it's automated with Club Runner, if you have it in by the 15th of the month. You coordinate giving to RI, the Rotary Foundation. Sometimes that is more on your foundation chair, but again, depending on your club size, it could go to the treasurer, but you could be in that. And often, I will say where this comes in is at club meetings, when people are giving or doing fines and you're keeping track of who's giving to what. Is it to the club? Is it to the RI Foundation? You may have your own foundation. And keeping track is often one of the duties of the secretary to make sure during that meeting what happened and where it should go. Again, member changes. Today, member changes aren't just people say leaving the club or entering the club, but more importantly, if we're doing Zoom, do we have their email address? Is it changed? So very important to be able to connect with our members and making sure addresses, phone numbers, and emails are got. And again, ongoing, you're answering questions for club members. They're often coming to you about what you should do. And that's why I want to make sure you have places you can find the information for them. Oops. And then let's get back to a little bit on the treasurer side, and that is you do have a fiduciary responsibility because you are an officer of the board, on the board of your club. You have some financial responsibility, and we're going to talk a little about insurance. So the first step is developing and adhering to a budget. You're going to be part of the process. Again, normally not yours unless you're both secretary treasurer, but you want to understand the process. You want total transparency with your club in the process, making sure how it's spent by the committees, et cetera. And you're going to be an integral part of what that happens. By the way, I had a slide here, and this one won't show up, but what was on this slide is your federal taxing responsibilities. And all it was we have actually a letter to Rotary, and it goes back to, I think, the last letter, 1958, just showing the IRS that we are a 501c7. So we're a social organization. We are tax exempt from that perspective, but we are not a C3. So some people confuse that, and that is where you can do nonprofits who are able to collect money for certain things. So we have to have some responsibilities about staying out of political affiliations and money, et cetera. And that's why some clubs have opted to put in their own foundation under a C3 status. So sometimes you're going to have to look at that and maintain more than one. That just depends on your club. But so you're a 501c7. And then state taxing, depending California, Nevada. So we have the franchise tax in California. There are some attorney general requirements you need to be aware of, and sales tax that could happen based on your club and what you're doing. In Nevada, you have to file an annual list of officers with the Secretary of State. You got to watch out on nonprofit solicitations and the sales tax exemption, which we get if we make sure we file appropriately with that. In Nevada, we also have to file with the Gaming Control Board if we're doing certain types of lotteries or raffles. And again, real specific questions, we'll get back to the treasurer with Dave Carey when he does his training.
California also has to register as a raffle.
Correct. That's correct. Thank you, Robin. I heard that from Dave as well. Insurance, we'll talk a little bit about what's provided by RI. So we are covered by U.S. Rotary Clubs and District Liability Insurance Program. It gives us coverage for many of the things we do. It does not provide coverage for bodily injury, property damage sustained by a first party insured, which is a Rotarian or volunteer. So it doesn't cover everything, but it is pretty inclusive of general damages. And this information is, how do you file a risk? Who do you call? And we'll make sure, by the way, this presentation will be available to all of you at the end. So you don't have to worry about notes here or anything. All this will go to you so you have it. Online on our district website, you're going to find this information. It's a sample budget. I would say most of your clubs probably have one, but again, sometimes there's a handoff that we lose data. So you're going to find something that gives you an idea. It should look something like this when you work with your finance team. Correspondence. So you're going to work with your president, board, and committees again, keeping notes, etc. You're taking minutes, got to make them available, notify committee chairs, and you archive those results so that someone can find them. And usually great to let your membership know where they're available, send them out, mail them out, how to find them. Transparency really is important. And usually people very much appreciate it. You make special notices for board and committee meetings, let people know they're happening. Your bylaws, if you can, put them online. Put them on your website, put them somewhere they're easily obtainable. Special requests for district RI, you might be asked to send in. And another reminder from Randy Riscotti, and that is use our Rotary logos. So if you go to this website of how to manage the brand center, matter of fact, my last presentation had to be moved into this new template to make sure we were complying with the Rotary brand. And as secretary, it's kind of you to kind of watch these things and make sure we're following those rules. So some of the common duties: schedule and documenting meetings. The club, you're a club board of director member. It's per the Council on Legislation of Rotary. You preserve the club records. You coordinate membership data on the databases. You supervise and order name badges and monitor attendance. Again, these are real common duties you should do. Assisting visiting Rotarians. Very often makeup cards they'll ask for. And we'll chat a little bit about, I realize that attendance is different. Used to be so much more monitored, really pushing hard, and they've kind of backed down on that. So there are clubs who don't report attendance, but if you're keeping up in the mentioned club runner, it automatically at least sends data so they know that you have your membership, not exactly attendance. But there are still clubs who monitor that and push for 100%, so they may ask for makeup cards. Again, items to remember. So Club Runner automatically updates to district and the RA website. It's again, attendance reporting can be automated if you keep that information. The club constitution flows right up to RI if you guys keep it in using Club Runner. Bylaw changes driven by the council and legislation, keep those up to date. So you're going to hear about that every year at the international convention. There is information that can change in our bylaws, and the council on legislation makes changes. That'll come down to your president, and you're going to make sure that you review those, and if it makes a change to your internal policies and to your bylaws, making sure that those are brought up to date. And then does anybody have any other things, the other questions, how to fix problems? Because that's probably a good place we have with all the experience we have in this on this Zoom meeting, we might be able to talk about. So maybe I'll open it right here and say, is there anything else and problems you've seen, faced, and maybe had questions on?
Larry, Joni, you asked a question about foundation. Did Larry answer your question in the discussion just then?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Any other ideas, thoughts?
No, but
Okay.
Larry, I'll add that from time to time, when I enter, especially if I'm updating a member change, or if I'm one of the things that we do is if we have a member transferring from one club to another, we manage that process. And if you get out of sync, the Rotary International site synchronizes with our club sites. And I've had a couple of cases where, for whatever reason, a piece of information didn't propagate forward onto RI. And I found the RI support center to be extremely responsive. So if you have any problems or you get a funny error message, just send a message to support at, I believe it's support at Rotary International, but you can also go into the RI and just send a message, and they're very supportive.
Thank you, Robin. And actually, I have that website here. We'll talk about that. That's a great point. Everyone I've talked to says their sports center is amazing. And I've been through that. I've had to change clubs from working in another city and then change back. And it's all about the secretary putting the information timely so that when I walk in the next club, they can put me on quickly. And if they don't, then I'm working back to my old club. So she's so right. It's an important piece of the duties, because not just going in and out or moving. And like I said, me, it was just a job change. I stayed in the same place, was physically living, but it was very important that that process happened smoothly. But thank you for that.
And Susan Drown is asking a question. Is there a place to find out which members have logins to Club Runner? And I would think that's both a question for your club login as well as an RI login.
Well, great question. You know, obviously, usually when you go into the RI, they have help online because usually you're using your email first if you don't know your password, or you can sign in and set up your new system like most websites. If you just forgot it, you can hit forgot and usually they help you. We'll get back to that RI Support Center because that's another place that can help you. Is there an easy way? Yes, when you go into club, if you're using Club Runner, there is information that talks about are they signed in? Are they signed up for different things? You cannot help them if they lost their password. They're going to have to do that for themselves on the site. Susan, you have a more specific question?
Thanks, Larry. No, I hadn't been able so far to find where I would look to see if so-and-so has actually set up a Club Runner account. Because I use it we've used it for emails and everything, and a lot of them, you know, obviously don't open it.
Yes.
So just wondering how I could tell as new secretary if people actually have, you know, ever signed up for it.
So let me ask the other secretary, does anybody have any insight? Otherwise, just so you know, anything like this, I will write down. We do have a team, the tech team, if you will, that does on the Club Runner. And what I'll do is get the answer and I'll send it to all of you. Anything we get questions on here that I don't know, we don't know, I'll send it back out. But does anybody else have any insight on that?
One of the Susan Rice, or someone who's been a long time, I believe, and this is Robin speaking, that district automatically sets up an account when you register a new member because you have to provide their email.
Okay.
And Susan Rice, do you recall, is that correct?
Yes, there is an automatic email that is sent out with information to the new member to sign up and such. My experience is that there are very few members who ever do anything about their sign in. So it's like 1 out of 50, maybe something like it's really low.
Okay.
Yeah, these are good questions, and I'll follow up on the one if they automatically sign them up, but who actually has set up an account. What I can tell you our club has done is we brought a few people, you know, people more techie who bring in laptops and actually will at the back of the room say, hey, come on in early, even during the meeting and after the meeting to help people sign in. So that's another way you kind of push and encourage is to actually have a session where you have people there to help people do it. Because some of them frankly need the help. And I know that not all of us are seeing each other yet. That might even be a good, now that we're in this area, Zooming, and we have actually some clubs are reporting better attendance, especially with members who maybe have been laid up and can't come as easily because Zoom is so simple a way to connect, and might be a way to put on there how to do this and how to on a Zoom for your club.
Great idea.
Robin, now that I'm thinking, we probably could do that from our district point of view. So I'll put that on the idea board for us to do.
And then let me also say that, so your My Rotary account is separate from your Club Runner.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go into Rotary Club Central and look under club membership, you'll see a report that lists all your club members, and one of the line items in the report that's members in a club has a yes, no as to whether that member, it tells you which members have My Rotary accounts and which do not.
Perfect. Thank you.
And the My Rotary, as you learned, is important if you want to use the leadership learning, the learning lab that we just did for this session.
Great point, Robin, and I think that the point is maybe we need to do a session on both, how to sign up for Club Central and My Rotary.
I think that would be great.
Yeah,
that would be great.
Really,
so together would be good.
I find that with Zoom, our attendance is much larger. So if they're doing that, then it seems logical to try and get everybody with those other options.
Right, and maybe we can do a couple of ways. Do a Zoom meeting to show them how. I know there's got to be, like, you're going to see some samples of the sheets they have, the how-to. We might even be able to send a quick how-to sheet, you know, step by step with screenshots. So several ways to get more people to get engaged.
And we should include a why. So like with my Rotary, what are some of the things you can see if you have an account?
Absolutely. You know, because follow so many things, your foundation giving, learning, there's a lot of ways and reasons it could be helpful to you. So great point. Okay. Any other thoughts there? That was great. I'm going to fix a problem. Okay, some of the resources and documents. RI, if you go on there, they're going to have a club secretary's manual. So again, there's a lot of great detail just on the RI page of what a job description of it is, you know, what are the general duties, and there's a little manual that kind of walks through it, so that can be very helpful. Your club constitution and bylaws, reading them through so you know what the bylaws are and what the rules are for your team, your club. Rotary Club of Policies and Rotary Foundation Code of Policies, again, on the RIA website. There's Club Runner online documentation on that website to give you better insight as to what you can do and how to do it. And I will also say Club Runner has a same kind of a support center that is also extremely helpful to you. If you have questions on Club Runner, you can actually call them directly and get help. And then we have the club budget worksheet I mentioned at the District 5190 site. And then Rotary Contact Center, and this is what Ron was mentioning, calling this number can really help with a lot of questions on processing stuff through our RI. They're very helpful. They get back to you within a short time period. So this is a number you're going to have with you to assist you when you have some issues. Very often they can take care of it right away, especially when it comes to systems. And again, online, the contact center, you can also email them. We have RI, we have the District 5190. There's actually, if you go to our zone, so we're a large zone, is made up of quite a few states, and that together, they have a lot of data too that might be interesting for you. Always, you can email me. I'm happy to do some research and get back to you and try to assist, either find you the link, the person, the website that can get you what the question is and what you need. So that is sort of our general one, and I'm going to pull up a few other things in a moment. Any questions at this point? Is there anything specifically someone would like to see? So I can maybe get an example of a how-to.
Larry, could you show how to place agendas and approved minutes in Club Runner? Can you walk through that for a quick second?
Actually, I'm not set up with that here.
Okay.
So that is not one. Let me give you another example, but you know, I'm writing it down, so I will make sure you have that.
Okay.
I will send you that process and how to do it too, and I'll send it to everyone.
I have been struggling through it, but the prior club secretary goes in and kind of cleans up where I put things in the wrong place. So I'd really like to know how to do it without, you know, calling on him.
Fair enough. I will get you that information, and again, I will send it to everyone on the call.
Great.
So let me stop the sharing there, but I'm going to pull up some information to give you an idea. Here's an example of a sheet that you're going to find in the Learning Center that you can pull down. So this just gives you an idea of how this works. So it's going to show you, if in this case, how to update club data. So it's going to go through and show you exactly in the thing what to click on, manage, club administration. It's going to show you exactly how to hit this particular item and edit invoice preferences, update meeting details. So it goes as step-by-step screenshots to walk you through a process of, checking mailings, changes, meeting place, and kind of gives you a lot of information of a how-to tutorial in really just a brief number of changes. And this is how you make a lot of the changes. It's what it's showing you in the RI site. So I think you're going to find that these kinds of things are really helpful. I'll give you another example here. Here's how to add a member. And again, it's the same place starting club and administration. And it's going to go add and edit, add a member. And again, just walk you through step by step. So that I found that these little sheets were really helpful in being able to, find some help and follow through and walk through it. And there is a lot of these examples. As a matter of fact, that's why I will look and see, is because it's possible that some of the questions you have, I can find in there, and that will give you some help in how to do that. There's how to pay an invoice, how to manage membership leads. So when you do get a lead, what do you do with it? So it's going to give you a lot of guidance on that process. And so, like I say, for me, I just downloaded all of them, because that way, if I've got something, I can go to my little file and pull it up, and I've got someone to guide me through or help someone else get through that. Even how to add a club officer. And again, you're also going to find on the RA website things like this. So, club secretary job description. Many of you probably haven't seen your job description, but it's going to talk about attending district training assemblies in the conference, meeting with the outgoing secretary. These are pretty obvious things, but it does nice checklist for you to walk through to see what is it I should be doing. And again, what I'll do is go ahead and in addition to the slide deck, go ahead and I'll try to see if we can. I'll put them in, I'll talk to Robin about how, but getting you all of these updates, because if you'd like, I can just send you all these forms as well. That way you have them and you just can put them in your file. But again, all of these are easily found on the Learning Center. So I encourage you to go there, because now you'll have your own access to that. And you can see that these are pretty helpful guides in answering many questions. Anybody
So Larry, one of the things that I'm not sure of, but some clubs, there are differing levels of participation in Club Runner. Some clubs have their website as well as their administrative information on Club Runner. Some clubs, such as Nevada City Rotary, my club, does not use Club Runner for our website, but we do use Club Runner for member tracking updates and stuff like that. And back to Patty's question, I'm not sure for my particular club, our minutes and all of that, we save, I upload those to our website. And you've triggered a question for me, Patty, as to whether or not I actually have the ability to upload documents such as minutes and things like that to the district site, to Club Runner. So
you can to Club Runner, and that's where all of our, our information, our updated bylaws and constitution are there. And we have a little bit different. We have an executive secretary, which is Tim McCall, and then I'm like the recording secretary that does minutes and the agendas and things like that. So, and all of that going, I can't tell you back, well, I think even back to, well, prior to, shortly after, I guess I left the club as president, they started using Club Runner whenever it came into effect. Pardon me, but my club uses it for all that documentation, but truly, like Susan said, I think, very little participation from our members to go on there to see what's happening and what's going on.
Yeah, I hear that from many clubs. You know, Spark also uses it for all those things, including our website, but frankly, doesn't have the same participation from the group. And we've done a lot of work to get people into it, but then they just forget, don't participate. But I do think it's critical for what you said, and that is uploading all the documents. And I think that's important for as we switch off secretaries, treasurers, et cetera, but even committee members, because some of us have foundations and other committees, events, that if they would upload those, it just helps it move forward in continuity. And I would say that often fails, especially at a committee level. So, you know, trying to be the cheerleader for this and making sure it goes up is so important. And so again, I will make sure to get you all about the Club Runner and how to make that happen, along with the thing we talked about on the setting up Club Runner, how to get people set up in Club Runner and My Rotary. So we'll work on those two things.
Excellent, thank you.
Any other questions, items? So I'm just going to go ahead and quickly do one more thing. If I can get there. So this is the Rotary Learning Center. I'll go back a little bit so that you can see. So in here is frankly an amazing amount of information in many languages. So there are filters here to put it in English #1 and then getting it to, you know, what kind of information am I looking for? So you can see here is a webinar, classroom, e-learning. Then you got your language selections. Pretty amazing, all the opportunities and ways we can do this. And then frankly, I just put in Club Secretary, and you can do that with pretty much anything. And then by going down here, you're going to find, there we go, Club Secretary Basics. And then in this, it's actually going to show you all of those learning things I showed you before. So it is so simple, I can't even begin to tell you, of clicking on it. It'll walk you through that segment. It gives you an estimated duration time, and that really is all up to you. Frankly, some of these are probably things you can knock out in say, half that time, and other things you're going to take some time on. It'll take a little longer, so that's what's nice. It's all up to you. And then when you're done, you get a nice little certificate that tells you, congratulations. Each time you complete one course, you're going to get a bunch of these. But I will tell you, it's really nice to have and be able to know, you might want to send it to your president, that you have completed it. And again, keeps track. So if I went ahead and said, well, next year I'm going to be the treasurer, it would also know which of these I've already taken and just keep track of all that. And there are so many things in here from foundation and other things that you can learn about just if you're interested as a Rotarian. So again, I found that this was extremely helpful. And each time you get into this, see if I can get an example for you, you will find ways you can download the data forms I mentioned. It makes it pretty simple once you get signed in. So you can see here, it'll tell you what you're going to go through here. So it's going to be interactive learning, managing club lumber, it's learning, and then of course evaluation. And then others will have, again, information about what you can download inside each of those. And that's where I got a lot of these forms that I'm happy to, again, pass along to all of you. Any questions on that at all, on the insight? And I mentioned Rotary, the RI site. Go to the RI site and you go to, again, to learning and references and club rules. Again, you're going to see all the roles if you chose to, district roles, and it'll get down to what you do. And when you have, you'll see in blue, update your membership data. You click on that, it's going to show you how. You can go down here as you see how to prepare, taking those courses, be a vibrant club. All of these are simple. Click on it and you're going to get all that information of that. And again, it says Learning Center, and that connected me to the Learning Center. Once I, again, clicked into this in my Rotary NRI, and it gets you the club and district support representative, your financial representative. These are how to find out who's doing what and how you can get some help. And even a discussion group for club secretaries. So just the RI site has a lot of great information. And I found that this, along with the Learning Center, really helped me understand exactly what the role was and frankly, the how to do things in most cases. And then, like you said, there's a discussion group you can send out to other club secretaries in Rotary, period, everywhere. So really helpful in finding out, you know, who is our club and district support representative. That should be logged into that. Again, any questions there?
Yeah, Larry, this is Tom Milam. I also sent a chat on it. Is it possible that a secretary or a club president can go and view what Learning Center courses have been taken by club members?
Oh, that's a great question.
I know the answer, Larry. If you
Good,
don't.
Rock, good.
I was involved in setting up the Leadership Learning Assembly online program. So, and the answer is for data privacy reasons, in order for someone in our district to have access, they have to go through a data privacy training program. And so the answer is no, your presidents do not have access to who's taken what classes. In fact, at the district level, I'm not sure that anyone, Karen's working on being able to have access to it, but so the answer is no. The best way is for you to inform your president that you've taken it.
Thank you, Robin. I was going to say that. The nice thing, I showed you that certificate. I think the best way is to send those to them and say, yeah, here's what I've done. Matter of fact, I think you'd want to do that, but as a president, you can ask that. Hey, your certificate there, can you please send that to me? I'd love to see that and recognize you at the club. Great question. Any other questions? Oops. Well, that's pretty much what we had left on there for this. I'm going to get back to all of you on those things we discussed and give you some additional, answering your questions. And again, I'll answer to everybody, so you all have the same insight. Any other questions or things you'd like to see or me to pass on to you?
Great job, Larry.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank all of you for taking some time on a Saturday. I got up early to do my yard work so that I could do this. So this is fun. Yeah. It's too hot out there now.
Exactly. Very good.
Great.
So Larry, I don't know if you can see the claps, but you've got a bunch of claps going on. So
well, thank you, and thank all of you. I really appreciate
well done.
it.
Thank you.
Great. Well, have a great rest of your day, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Larry.
Thank you.
You too. Bye.